All right, I'm back here with Bear, and this is the end of our puppy session, and this is Bear's roadmap to success. Basically, the video above is a lot longer than I normally do, but like I said, the Guardian is a sweetheart, and he's just an awesome dog, so I'm happy to do that. This will be probably a little bit shorter than my normal ones. One of the first things I talked about was the vet. Well, first of all, we talked about how to pick a dog. I have a post on Quest Ed, the puppy section of dogboneproblems.com, and where we talk about things to look for in a breeder. I think that the breeder that she got him from was, as I mentioned in the above video, was just all about money. There were a bunch of old shoes in the whelping box, and so now she can't leave shoes out anywhere. She can't leave shoes out anywhere because he's formed a habit of chewing on shoes. So if you get another puppy, make sure you message me and I can give you some tips ahead of time. She also takes him to a VCA veterinary clinic. Now VCA usually has the very top of the line stuff, but it is a franchise, in my experience, for regular routine veterinary care. They are very expensive. They like to do a lot of tests, and you're very rarely going to see the same vet because there's a whole bunch of vets on staff. Now, if you have a dog with a real problem, those are great places to go to because, like I said, they have the best equipment. But my preference is to have a smaller vet office where I'm going to meet one vet, one-to-one. My vet is going to get to know my puppy and know, because when puppies get sick, they don't act sick typically, they try to hide it. So you'll usually notice their behavior changes, and that's a good indication to take it to your vet. If you've never seen that vet before, he doesn't know what to look for. If your vet has been giving your dog his checkups and shots and all that fun stuff for 2 years, he knows or she knows what your dog should look like and can help spot things. So I would recommend going to YouTube, or not to YouTube, on social media, check with your friends, find a smaller vet clinic where it's 1 or 2 vets. You're going to see the same vet, it's reasonably priced, and it's good reviews that your friends, people like, and it's close proximity to you. Don't go to one like way in the valley or something like that. I see people do, because it's supposed to be a great vet. It's LA, there are great vets all over the place. And there are mobile vets as well. They can come to your house. Sometimes that's more convenient for people. I worked with one of them not too long ago. All right, so what else do we went over? We went over petting with a purpose and passive training. Petting with a purpose is when Bear here comes up and nudges or jumps up on or asks for attention. If we pet, anything our dog is doing when we pet it is what we're reinforcing. So if he jumps up on me and I pet him, I'm telling him the best way to get me to pet you is to jump up on me, and he's going to do it more and more. So instead, when he jumps up on me, I don't pet him, I give him a counter order, tell him to sit. When he sits, I pet him preferably under his chin to facilitate that nose-up orientation. Dogs are proud, their nose is up in the air. And then I say just the word sit. If he's already sitting, I might ask him to lie down or come and sit over here. He has to do something to change his state in order to earn that affection. Now, even if the Guardian wants to pet him, he's not initiating contact, I would still want her to pet him, to ask him to do something first. That helps develop a very healthy leader-follower dynamic so that he thinks, I can't tell her what to do, I have to ask. Not only do I have to ask, I have to pay for it. And I pay for it through a currency of obedience, sitting, laying down, or something along those lines. After a while, what will happen is he will come sit in front of you to prepay for attention. Yeah, I know. And that's wonderful when the dogs do it. That's like really teaching your dog great manners. So it'll take you about a month to get in a habit with petting with a purpose. So if you catch yourself petting without a purpose, that's all right. Stop and just ask him to sit. After that, you can pet him for 8 hours. He just has to do something to prepay for it or change his orientation. Now, the absolute easiest way to train any dog or puppy is what I call passive training. Passive training is waiting for the dog to organically offer you the behavior on their own. Grumble. So that's a really weird thing that he does. Most dogs don't do that. Well, if every time he does that, you pet him and say grumble, every time you hear, after a while, you can say grumble, he goes, whatever that sound is that I can't make. I taught my dog to grumble this way, literally. Every time sometimes when I come home, he would jump up and bark, and sometimes go, well, I would pet him and say grumble every time he did that. Now I can say grumble, and he goes, and so I can hold my phone up and film him, and I'm like, did you have anything to say to Tyler? Well, does he didn't know that it's his birthday? I'm not going to give him a bone. And it becomes a funny video. Anything your dog does, you can pet and reward him for doing that. So when he comes to you, pet him and say come. When he sits down, pet him and say sit. When he lays down, pet him and say crash. If he brings you a toy, name each one of your toys. So this way, he brings you an elephant, maybe you call it Trump. And same thing with potty training. You're going to say just potty. I'll give you a treat since you're getting a little feisty. Yes. So that way, if you get in a habit of petting with a purpose and passive training, every time you pet your dog, it's a micro training session, and after a while, you don't even think about it. You'll just do it automatically. Now, when we have puppies, we want to make sure that they get used to being handled. One of the things I would do when you do find your vet, take him to your vet. If he doesn't have all his shots, you make sure you carry him and can peer out the bottom of his feet like we talked about off camera. But I would take him to the vet's office and let him just meet him. Have a bunch of treats and just, hey, this is Nurse Ratchet. And Nurse Ratchet gives him a treat. And then we go over and this is vet, Jack the vet. And Jack the vet gets him a treat. Nobody's sticking their fingers up his butt. Nobody's looking at stuff. It's just, I go in there and everybody gave me a treat. This is now one of my favorite places to go. And that's why you want a vet that's relatively close. I took my dog to my vet 3 times before I took him in for a checkup, so that when he went in there, he was like whining in the car. He wanted to go in there. A lot of dogs hate the vet. They have to be muzzled, they take a bite of the vet tech. It's really easy to fix. Now, because for the handling, what I started talking about was we wanted to get him used to being handled. So what I would do is feed him his kibble, and I talked about feeding him out of an omega treat ball, which I would do the most of. But every once in a while, I would give him a treat like this, and then manipulate his digit. And then give him another treat, and manipulate his next digit. And you're not trimming or anything, you're just getting him used to doing it. And you can do it, oh, you gotta spit that one out. All right, we'll hold it for later for you. And then basically, if you do it with this kibble, you get a whole bunch of opportunities to mess with all of his feet, flip up his ear, look at his other ear, flip up his gums, investigate his teeth. I would say lift up his tail, look at his rear end, he doesn't have a tail. But getting him used to being handled like that in a positive way will help, because you're going to dog groomers are one of the most, they're most nipped and bit industries in the pet industry. Because you're doing all this invasive stuff, and the dog's like, who are you to look under my lips and under my ears and all the rest of that stuff? So just, you want to do that for the next month or so, maybe once, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Feed him his kibble while you're just messing with all this stuff, and then wait a couple days and do the same thing. Let me see, make sure you don't leave anything in his kennel or his long-term confinement area that he's not allowed to have at any point. So if it's an old shoe or a water bottle or a sock, he's no difference in a brand new sock and one that has a hole in it. He's just going to chew on all socks, which is why he now chews on all shoes. Let me see, I'm not going to talk about the long-term confinement area in there, but make sure he does eat and sleep in there, at least some of the time. I would have him sleep in there all the time for the next month or so, just so he gets used to it. You can always then bring him out and do some other stuff later on, but it's hard once, unbuttoned my shirt, buddy. But it's hard once you start letting him sleep in your bed, and that's where he's always going to want to sleep. So if you get him used to sleeping in the long-term confinement area, he's comfortable doing so. Let me see. I'm going to leave the high-value training treats that I use here, the tricky chicken liver. Make sure you don't give your dog milk bones, pepperoni, or bacon strips. They're 3 of the 5 most popular brands of dog treats, and they have known carcinogens in them. They are now outlawed by the FDA. The USDA has not outlawed them. They're shown to give humans cancer. There's a high chance that they can give dogs cancer as well. I talked about carrots and broccoli in the above video, which are 2 ways to help ward off types of cancers in dogs. Now, the guardian might want to set up a session with us a little bit later on and help him learn to walk with a loose leash. Right now, he's too young. I really want her to focus on finding a good puppy socialization class. And the socialization class is usually a 4 to 8 week class. It's done at a location. And the important thing is that we're done with other puppies. Now, you want a class like ours. I don't teach one here on the west side, but I teach one in the Midwest. We separate dogs by breed size. We have puppies that are under 25 pounds and over 25 pounds. I don't want to put him in a class with a bunch of Malteses or Jack Russells, because it's not going to be fair for them to play. But developing good social skills is highly, highly important. It'll also help curb his mouthing and biting, because they'll chew on the other dogs and they'll yelp and bite it back. They have teeth. I would not recommend biting him back. I've had clients that actually have bitten their dogs back. It's not going to work out very well. Let me see, but the socialization class should have half of each class should incorporate playtime. And I have one class I heard of where they let the dogs play for 5 seconds and pick the dog up. And then 5 seconds to pick the dog up, which is incredibly stupid. Now, if your dog gets out of balance or it's too rough, you might do a little break or things like that. That's normal. You want to make sure that the class is not too big and not too small. It depends on the size of the room, but you're probably looking at a class anywhere from like 5 to 10 puppies. We have a fairly good sized room, and we limit it to 6 or 7, depending if it's a large breed or small breed. But find try to get him as much socialization as you can. You have about 2 more weeks from the time of the session to really socialize him and have it impact his critical socialization period. Theoretically, we don't know exactly when it ends. Sometimes it will be 3 and 4 months. He's 3.5 months. So try to get them to meet as many different people and different dogs as possible. Cranky dogs, sad dogs, happy dogs, energetic dogs, tall people, short people, fat people, black people, orange people. Maybe not orange people, they're not usually very good. But a variety, kids, loud kids, quiet kids, shy kids. Take him to like a playground and where you're far enough away where he doesn't have to interact with the kids and just eat a sandwich. When you're seated, you look like you're going to be there for a while. If you're standing, the dog thinks this is temporary. Let's get the heck out of here. These little ones are running around too fast. Well, if you sit down on a bench and eat a sandwich, he's going to sit down and then he gets to watch the kids play, and then that's good experience exposure for him. Now, he's afraid of the Harley, or the neighbor has a motorcycle. And I shared my critical association checklist with the guardian before when we booked the session about a week ago. And so she's been already working on getting us some experiences. But if I want to help him get over his fear of the motorcycle, he can go over the motorcycle as long as it's off. But as soon as it's on, he's fearful of it. So what I would do is go to one of the parking lots over here by the beach, and then basically have your neighbor with this motorcycle be about 100 yards apart to begin with. Take a treat, one of the high-value train treats I'm giving you, and tell your neighbor, every time I squat down, give me half a second, and start your motorcycle, run it for 2 seconds, and turn it off. So you squat down and immediately pop the treat in the dog's mouth, and then he hears vum, 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 vum. He's still chewing. So we want maybe 3 seconds, the motorcycle. So every time he gets a tasty treat first, then he hears the motorcycle start, and don't have him rev it up at first. Just start it, and then idle for about 3 seconds, then turn it off. And then repeat that 3 or 4 times until the dog just kind of, and the motorcycle's here and he's not even looking at it. Then I would walk 2 paces closer to the motorcycle or have the motorcycle roll 2 paces towards you. Repeat the process. Now, and my 2 tests, can I get the dog to sit? Can you sit? No, he's like, I'm going to lie across you. Can I get the dog to sit and will it take a treat? If he won't do either one of those things, he's getting close to his breaking point. The whole point of this is you cannot have him reacting, lunging, barking, whining, any of that stuff. He needs to be completely calm throughout. So you might, you start off at 100 yards, that's probably way too far, but we'd rather start. And so if he doesn't even really looking at the motorcycle, you maybe take 10 or 15 steps. But the idea is to find the range when he stops sitting and ready to take the treat and take note of that. Okay, we're at 23 feet. So next time we call it a day and make sure these are short, like 5-10 minute training sessions max. And then you come back the next day, and this time we go to 22 feet. And then perhaps that time we go to 21 feet. And again, stop when he starts getting anxious or nervous, breathing heavy or licking his lips. Those are signs of stress. We want to get to the point, yes, buddy, where he can be all the way, thank you, buddy, where he can be all the way next to the motorcycle with him starting it, and he's fine with it. Now, next stage, I would actually do the same thing, have him start it, and then rev the engine up, or start it and move around a little bit. It depends on how he's reacting to it. But we want to put him in a position where he feels good and comfortable about it. Now, you can do that with skateboards, with birds and limes, the scooters, anything that is going to make him, that he's not going to like. And don't practice the shake, because I promise you it's going to be problems, right? Oh, yes, buddy. For getting neutered, we recommend waiting until the dog's about a year for males. Females, we like them to go to their 2nd season. For males, I would find a vet, and it's okay if it's a different vet that does the surgery if your vet doesn't offer this, but I like to get it done with a laser for males. It's a bloodless surgery and it heals faster. Let me see what else. For the potty training, like I said, just focus on outside. And if you're walking, it's like during the day, and you're going to be around for a while. There's nothing wrong with putting a little bit of warm water in his kibble, maybe about a cup, and then and then look at your timer and make sure you take him out about 30 minutes after that. So the idea is he's outside when he has the urge to urinate, and when he does it, make sure you have treats. So you want to reward the heck out of him so that he's like, I will dare not waste this urine inside because this stuff is valuable outside. Let me see. If you have a friend that you can trust, well, I like to have the dog spend the night at a friend's house while it's in this critical socialization period. If you're a friend you can trust, the problem is he's going to probably have some accidents, so it's probably going to be a good friend who has a hardwood floor or something like that. But somebody that you can trust. We don't want it to be a bad experience. But if he has a night spent away from you, that can really help later in life. A lot of dogs develop separation anxiety. I think the long-term confinement area is going to help with that quite a bit. But a little extra practice doesn't hurt. You're chortling again. I would say that chortle instead of grumble because it's more of a chortle. Let me see, what else did we go over? The leave it exercise. If you forget how to do that, message me. Or actually, it's in the video above, right? Yeah, we shot it all together. If you have other problems, please message me and make sure you let me know. I have videos for probably all this stuff. I can email you very quickly. But get him in puppy school as soon as you possibly can, and make sure you keep on socializing him until he's about 9 months. That's when his true personality will kick in. Socialization is effective up until they're about 9 months old. After that, it's still helpful, but it's not going to really modify his behavior that much. God, you have like human pretty eyes. Let me see, anything else that we didn't go over? Any questions?
Nope.
Make sure you're feeding him twice a day and that you eat something first, and he eats everything is in his plate. But again, get one of those treat balls, and for about the next month or two, I would feed him, unless you're messing with his paws and stuff, I would feed him in the playpen with the Omega treat ball. And try to do that and then sneak out, or do that or sneak in your bedroom. So when he gets done, oh man, I can't complain, let me out of here, and he just takes a little bit of a nap. And again, that's what we want him to do in there. All right, Bear, you did very good, buddy. You're a very handsome dog. He's like, I know. This is Bear, and this is Bear's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog or puppy. Only sometimes you need it.